Hello and welcome to another episode of Digital Junto. Today I have dragged our writers out from the dreary dark rooms that they inhabit to join us on the podcast. Stay tuned. So, special guests with me today. On my left, your right, camera right, we have Richard Gaffin IV, also known as RG4 around here. And on my right, camera left, we have Amanda Rose Reed, aka Rosarito, Baja California, Mexico. They are our writers here at CTC, and we figured what would be cool for the process of character development is that you guys are going to hopefully be reading and interacting with them through our blog a lot more. So we wanted to introduce them, so you could put a face to the words, the eloquent, well-written, Oxford comma words that you will be seeing. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so maybe we could just start with a quick introduction, what you do here at CTC, and maybe how you became a writer.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Amanda, you want to start?
That works. So I'm a copywriter here at CTC. I've been here about a year, a little over a year. And I started writing in college, I'd say, probably more seriously. Worked in marketing ever since and just really enjoy Oxford commas and being a grammar snob and making our clients sound great.
Cool.
Yeah. And I started writing probably around the same time college. I majored in creative writing and mostly went down that route. As far as my writing goes, I published a very weird novella, if that's something you're interested in. It's called Oneronautics. Am I allowed to?
No, yeah, self-promotion.
Can I buzz market?
We're here for,
okay.
If you get it on the Kindle.
Get it on Kindle so I get more royalties.
Yeah.
And I feel weird about it after you finish reading it.
Is that what the feeling that you anticipate people to have? Weird?
Yeah, sort of unsettled, I'd say.
I like that.
But, I was a younger man at the time. Anyway.
More settled now?
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, I'm also a copywriter here, transitioning to that, and I'm enjoying it a lot. It's great.
Cool. Awesome. So we thought, what I thought we'd do today is just sort of talk about what kind of things that we can anticipate from you both on the blog, how you think about topics, how you look to be helpful, what you're trying to accomplish in the process, maybe a little bit about your own personal tone. Maybe unsettling is one direction that we know of. But so Rosie, starting with you.
Yeah.
Tell us what you've written so far. What was your first publish, and then what can we be anticipating, and how do you think about choosing topics?
Yeah. So the first blog that that I published was probably actually about a year ago.
Oh wow, that's true.
So it's been a while. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but most recently we did a recap of our Father's Day gift guide and sort of key learnings that we as a team here came away with from that, both from the client side and then from our side as well. So and my tone I think is I want to make it really approachable for people. I want them to be things that they can use, whether they're a client of ours or thinking about starting their own e-commerce business. Just wanting to make it really easy for people to understand sort of the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of what we do here.
Cool. Any teasers? Anything coming out soon that we should stay tuned for?
I mean, I'm going to try and come up with some posts that sort of help to explain some of the weird titles that people have in this office. So things like what an account strategist actually does, or what a customer acquisition specialist
That's helpful. You know it's a
does.
great title when it requires a blog to explain what it means.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a mouthful to say, and they do so much more. So just wanting to help explain that.
I like that.
Really coming up.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
RG, what about from you?
Yeah, so my first blog was just released last week. Yeah, so you probably got an email in your inbox if you subscribe to our list and wondered, who is this rando? Richard Gaffin, and it's me. So I wrote about, I asked the partners here at CTC to recommend a book just to help inspire entrepreneurs who are in it already, who are starting out, because I think a lot of material that we see here is not very helpful, and exploring stories of entrepreneurs who genuinely thought outside the box. I know it's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's really, really true. I think presenting those stories to entrepreneurs is going to be a really helpful way of kind of growing your business.
Typical noise interruption. So what I thought was cool about that too, not to cut you off here, but is that, so your previous job was a electric organ builder?
I built a digital church organ.
Right, which is pretty much like when you go to school for creative writing, that's the entry-level position coming out of that, right?
I'll say it's the kind of position that, my parents expected I would with an English degree, so.
Yeah, they warned you about where you're headed with an English
right.
degree.
Yeah.
So, so with that, so Andrew, one of our strategists here, beat down our doors. RG4, one of the few people that I never interviewed before hiring, because Andrew was so insistent on us hiring him. But, so part of your process was just reading books, right? I think you got given Ogilvy on advertising and others that you read before starting here?
22 Immutable Laws of Branding was another great one. But I mean, Ogilvy was the main entry point into the task of copywriting.
Yep.
And as a writer, it's sometimes difficult to kind of reconstitute your brain to write copy that sells first.
Yeah.
I think Ogilvy had mentioned somewhere in there, like, copy is not creative unless it sells. So pursuing creativity for its own sake.
So let's talk about that for a second. So, because I think, so amongst the three of us, when we sit and talk writing, like I'm not going to say the least creative person, but I don't do great at original thought. I'm great at sort of reorganizing and learning and processing and putting things out, but and so for me, I always lean really hard to sort of the science side of the art versus science, I suppose. And so sitting with you guys, I know there's probably times where maybe you feel like there's not enough space for that, but so how do you as creatives and thinking about copy manage sort of that blend of what we do as e-commerce we have to sell versus sort of the art of language and the beauty of words and sort of putting those together?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, the biggest learning came from all the data that we got when I started to actually write ads for us.
Yeah.
So one of the benefits of what we do is that we have this like really objective set of numbers and data and figures that we can kind of say what's working and what's not.
Yep.
And so to kind of, I can't argue with numbers. I can't argue with results. And so to kind of...
but you want to sometimes.
Oh, I want to so badly. But I think when you can start there and see what works depending on which client and which audience, then I learn what my rules are and then I can dance within those parameters. And so that's where I found my sweet spot, but I know it's like different for all of us, I think.
Cool, for sure. So one of the things too that I say a lot is that copywriters have it really hard because everybody thinks that they can write. Because we all use language all day, right? It's not like developers or coding where no one argues whether that they can code or not. But because we all use words in some capacity, we write emails, text messages, whatever, we all feel like we have some claim to the copy. And so you guys get probably more pushback from clients than most, and undeservedly. And if you're listening, don't buy a dog and bark too. That's another Ogilvy quote, and just trust people to do it. But how do you, as a writer, handle that, and how do you guys think of interacting with the client in such a way that like you establish expertise and you gain trust? What is that like for you to think about?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough line to walk because people also think they can write, maybe they can, but they also have a very personal connection with the words that are used to express their brand.
Right.
And so what will sometimes happen is that a client will prefer a copy that we know will not sell because it feels like it's more personal to them or their voice.
Like they're more attached to it.
Yes, they're more attached to it because words are very personal as well, and sometimes e-commerce can not be or feel that way anyway. So it's difficult. I think really the only solution is to establish trust. Establish an empathy too, like understanding why the client cares about expressing themselves a certain way, and then obviously showing them results. Cool. Like we can do it for you with this copy.
And I think it's something like you and I also are always talking about how best to handle these kinds of situations because it totally differs from client to client, and like we always talk about here, first and foremost, it's like a service business that we're in, and so not wanting to just like steamroll over people, partly because so many are, they're rooted in these really wonderful ideas, and it's ultimately our job to just kind of give them the best platform possible. So when I'm in that mind frame, and not just like married to this one piece of copy that I love, I think we can kind of walk that balance in a way that is both like true to us as copywriters, but then also honoring what's already been established by our clients, as well as like their feelings.
All right, rapid fire, 3 questions.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
So fill in the blank. Emojis are.
Awesome.
Emojis are. The brand with the best copy you've ever read is.
Oh, MailChimp.
Brand with the best copy you've ever read is.
Oh no, wait, can I change?
Changing.
Think Outside the Bun by Taco Bell.
That's your favorite tagline.
That's my
ever.
favorite tagline ever.
Okay.
Where's the beef? Wendy?
There you go. Your favorite writer is.
Flannery O'Connor.
Jack Kerouac.
Wow, there you go. And one thing that people could do to get better at copywriting for their brand.
Hire a copywriter.
Shameless plug.
Work on changing your own perspective. Getting outside of your own head.
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. So you all will hopefully be hearing a lot from these two. Reach out, introduce yourself, let them know. I can tell you as an artist, not as an artist myself, but for the artists, feedback is so appreciated. If they know that you're reading, if they know that you've taken the time and have appreciated it, feel free to leave comments, write emails back. It's super helpful. It's fuel, it's oxygen to keep doing it. Sometimes it can feel like you're just doing meaningless work in a hole by yourself and no one's reading it. I know that as doing this podcast and stuff. So feedback's much appreciated. Thanks guys for stopping by, and girls, we appreciate it.